The most common advice people hear for poor leg circulation after 60 is simple: walk more. In medieval houses, and let me say right at the start, walking is good. I do not want you to stop walking. If you can walk safely, I want you to keep doing it because it helps your heart, your mood, your joints, and your independence. But if your feet are still cold at night, if your ankles are puffing up by evening, if your calves feel heavy or tight, or if you get that strange, weak, unsteady feeling when you first stand up, then walking alone may not be fixing the real problem. That is the part almost nobody explains. Over the years, as Dr. Michael, I have taken care of many older adults who were trying hard. They were not lazy, they were not ignoring their health, they were doing exactly what they had been told to do. They walked every day, they elevated their legs, they wore compression socks, they drank more water. Some of them even pushed themselves to hit a step goal because they thought more steps had to mean better circulation. And still, they would sit across from me and tell me the same story. My feet are freezing at night, my socks leave deep marks by dinner, my calves burn when I stand too long. I feel like I have to be careful the second I get out of the chair. They were doing the work, but the result they wanted was not showing up. And that is frustrating, because when you are making the effort and your body still does not respond, it starts to feel like getting older means you simply have to accept it. You do not, because poor circulation in the legs after 60 is not just a comfort issue. It is not just about swollen ankles or tired feet. When blood slows down too much in the lower legs, tissues do not get what they need. Skin becomes more fragile. Small cuts can take longer to heal. A sore on the foot that looks minor can turn into a much bigger problem if the blood supply is poor. And in some people, poor circulation in the legs is one of the earliest signs that the arteries themselves are under strain. By the time people are over 70, peripheral artery disease becomes very common. In fact, the rate can be as high as about 1 in 5 adults over 70. Many do not know they have it yet. They just think their legs are aging, or they blame the discomfort on arthritis, or they assume cold feet are normal now. That is exactly why this conversation matters. And before you click away because you think you already know where this is going, walk more, drink more water, put your feet up, give me just a couple of minutes. Because the reason your circulation is not improving may have very little to do with your willpower and a lot to do with one muscle most people never think about, your calf. Doctors often call it the calf muscle pump. A lot of people call it the second heart, and that is not just a catchy phrase. It is actually a very useful way to understand what is happening in your body. Every time your calf muscle tightens, it squeezes the deep veins inside the lower leg and helps push blood upward toward the heart. That matters because the blood in your legs has to travel against gravity. Tiny one-way valves inside those veins help keep that blood moving in the right direction so it does not simply fall back down. When the calf contracts well, that system works beautifully. When the calf does not contract enough or often enough, blood starts lingering where you do not want it to linger, down around the ankles, lower calves, and feet. That is when people begin noticing swelling. That is when socks start leaving grooves. That is when feet feel cold even under a blanket. That is when the legs feel full, heavy, tight, or strangely tired. And here is what changes after 60. The calf muscles tend to lose size and strength with age, especially if you spend a lot of your day sitting. The vein walls can become less springy. The valves can become less efficient. Balance gets a little weaker. Reaction time slows a little. And the less steady you feel, the less you move. Then the pump weakens even more. Then the circulation gets worse. Then you move even less. That is the spiral. The good news is that you can interrupt it. And the way you interrupt it is not by obsessing over total step count. It is by using specific movements that deliberately squeeze the muscles that move blood out of your lower legs and back upward. That is what this video is really about. I am going to walk you through 5 movements, counting down from number 5 to number 1. Each one has a purpose. Each one builds on the one before it. And I am saving the strongest circulation-focused movement for the end. If you only remember one exercise from this entire video, it should be number 1, but you will understand why it works so much better if we build up to it together. Before I start the countdown, one quick thing. Everything I am about to share with you is one small part of staying mobile, steady, and independent as the years go on. The people who do best after 60 are rarely the people chasing dramatic fixes. They are the ones who learn a few simple habits and practice them consistently. That is what keeps the body working for you instead of against you. Now, let me tell you about someone. I will call her Helen, though she is really a blend of several patients I have cared for over the years. No one's privacy is being shared here. Helen was 72, sharp, organized, independent, proud of the fact that she still handled her own errands and never liked asking for help. But every evening her ankles would swell. Her feet were cold enough at night that she wore thick socks even in warm weather. And what worried her most was not the swelling, it was the unsteadiness. She felt unsure for a few seconds every time she got up from the couch. She had been walking faithfully for years, and quietly she was crushed that it did not seem to be enough. Keep Helen in the back of your mind, because what changed things for her is the whole point of this script. Let's start at number 5. Number 5. Ankle pumps. This one is so simple that many people dismiss it immediately, and that is a mistake. Hospitals and rehab teams use ankle pumps for a reason. They are often given to patients very early, even before normal walking is back, because they help activate circulation when the body is stuck in a sitting or lying position. Here is why they work. When you pull your toes up toward your shin and then point them away, your calf contracts and relaxes. That repeated motion helps squeeze the veins in the lower leg and encourages blood to move instead of pooling. A recent review, looking across multiple clinical trials, found that ankle pump exercises improve venous return and help reduce lower leg swelling in patients recovering from lower limb surgery. Now, that does not mean surgery patients are the same as everyone over 60, but it does show something important. This tiny movement is not pointless. It genuinely helps move blood. And that matters if you spend long periods sitting. Think about how many hours in a day the average older adult's calf pump is basically asleep, sitting at breakfast, sitting in the car, sitting while watching television, sitting while reading, sitting while talking on the phone. All that time, blood has a much easier chance to settle down low. Ankle pumps wake the system back up. To do them, sit in a chair with both feet flat on the floor. Lift your toes up toward your shins while your heels stay down. Then press your toes down and lift your heels. Move slowly. Do not rush it. Feel the calf tighten and release. That is 1 repetition. Aim for 20 to 30 repetitions, 2 or 3 times a day. You can do them while the kettle is heating, while commercials are on, while you are sitting after lunch, or while you are watching the evening news. They cost nothing. They require no equipment, and they are one of the safest starting points for people who feel weak, achy, or unsteady. But let me be clear about something. Ankle pumps are not the final answer. They are the ignition switch. They wake the calf pump up. They start the process. But if you want stronger circulation support, you have to recruit bigger muscles and longer contractions than this. That brings me to number 4. Number 4. Seated leg extensions. This one looks innocent until you actually do it with control. When you sit upright and slowly straighten one leg out in front of you, you activate the muscles across the front of the thigh and around the hip. Those muscles do far more than people realize. They help you stand up, climb steps, catch yourself, and keep your stride from getting smaller and weaker over time. And yes, they also help circulation. When these larger muscles contract, they press on veins farther up the leg and help assist the upward movement of blood. That matters because circulation is not just an ankle issue. You want good muscular assistance through the whole lower limb. This is also where function starts coming into the conversation. Doctors and rehab specialists pay close attention to walking speed in older adults. In fact, gait speed is often called the 6th vital sign because it predicts an enormous amount about health, fall risk, frailty, future dependence, hospitalization, even overall survival. When walking slows down, it often tells us the body is losing reserve. So when you strengthen the muscles that support standing and walking, you are not just helping blood move, you are protecting independence. To do the seated leg extension, sit tall in a sturdy chair with your back supported. Keep both feet flat. Slowly straighten one leg out in front of you until the knee is as straight as is comfortable. Hold for a second or two, then lower it back down slowly, with control. Do 10 to 15 repetitions on one side, then switch. The mistake most people make here is swinging the leg or leaning backward and using momentum. Do not do that. Keep your back steady and let the thigh do the work. If it becomes easy over time, adding a light ankle weight can make it much more effective. This movement helps build the leg strength that supports steadier walking, and that matters because strong movement and better circulation travel together. But circulation is only half the story. If balance is fading, people move less, and when people move less, circulation suffers even more. That is why number 3 matters so much. Number 3, the supported calf raise. Now we are getting very close to the real star of this entire topic. The supported calf raise is one of the best bridge exercises there is because it works on circulation and balance at the same time. Stand behind a sturdy chair or at a kitchen counter. Keep your feet about hip width apart. Rest your hands lightly for balance, then rise up onto the balls of your feet as high as is comfortable. Pause briefly at the top, then lower yourself back down slowly. That is 1 repetition. Start with 10. Build gradually toward 20 or 25 over time. Why does this help so much? Because now the calf muscle has to contract in a much more meaningful way than it does during casual walking. Walking uses momentum. You shift, catch yourself, shift again. But a controlled calf raise demands an intentional squeeze. That squeeze is the pump. And there is another benefit here that people underestimate. The National Institute on Aging and other healthy aging experts consistently emphasize lower body strength and balance as major protectors of independence later in life. If the muscles around the ankles and calves are weak, balance reactions get slower. That means a small trip has a better chance of turning into a real fall. So every time you perform a supported calf raise with control, you are doing 3 things at once. You are strengthening the calf, you are helping venous return, and you are training steadiness. That combination is incredibly powerful. Let me pause here for one quick favor, because if what you are hearing is helping you understand your body in a new way, make sure you stay with me for number 1. That last exercise is the one I most want you to know, because it is the one many people have never been shown properly. Now back to the countdown. The key with calf raises is not speed, it is control. Rise slowly, hold briefly, lower slowly. That slow lowering phase matters more than people think because it forces the muscle to stay engaged instead of bouncing through the movement. For many older adults, this is the first exercise that begins to make them feel more stable on their feet again. But we can go one step further. Number 2, the single leg stance hold. At first glance, this looks like a balance drill and nothing more, but it is doing much more than that. One of the most talked about findings in aging research over the last few years came from a study showing that middle-aged and older adults who could not stand on one leg for 10 seconds had a significantly higher risk of death over the following years, even after adjusting for several other health factors. That does not mean balance alone decides your fate, but it does tell us that balance reflects the health of many systems at once, and after 60, that matters. Here is why the single leg stance helps circulation. The moment you stand on one foot, the body has to organize itself fast. The calf tightens, the ankle muscles tighten, the hip has to stabilize, the core has to brace, and unlike walking, where you are on one foot for only a split second, standing on one leg forces those muscles to stay on. That prolonged tension keeps the pump engaged. To do it safely, stand beside a counter, wall, or sturdy chair. Shift your weight onto one leg. Lift the other foot just an inch or 2 from the floor. Keep your eyes forward. Stand tall. Hold for 10 to 20 seconds at first if that is all you can manage. Over time, work toward 30 seconds. Then switch sides. Do 2 rounds on each leg. If needed, keep one fingertip on the counter. There is no prize for wobbling wildly. The goal is controlled activation, not showing off. This exercise is important because it sits right at the meeting point between circulation and confidence. When people feel unsteady, they start avoiding movement. They stop walking as far, they sit sooner, they grip furniture, their world gets smaller. And as their world gets smaller, so does the amount of muscular pumping happening in their legs. That is why balance training is not separate from circulation. It protects it. But as good as the single leg stance is, it still is not the strongest circulation-specific exercise in this lineup. That brings us to number 1. Number 1, the standing calf pump hold. This is the exercise I really wanted you to hear. This is the one that takes the idea of the calf raise and turns it into a true circulation drill. It looks simple, almost too simple. You rise up onto the balls of your feet like a calf raise, but instead of coming right back down, you hold the top position for several seconds. That hold is what changes everything. When you stay lifted, the calf remains tightly contracted, and when the calf stays tightly contracted, it continues squeezing those deep veins and helping push blood upward. In other words, you are not just tapping the pump on and off, you are keeping it engaged long enough to matter. That is why I consider this the number 1 exercise for naturally boosting leg circulation after 60. And no, that is not just opinion. In a clinical trial involving people with intermittent claudication, which is leg pain caused by poor circulation, a simple calf raise-based exercise program improved pain-free walking distance and maximal walking distance over the course of several weeks. The improvement was meaningful, and importantly, it came from a movement focused on the calf pump. That is powerful, because it tells us that a targeted calf exercise can do something that ordinary walking by itself may not fully accomplish. Here is how to do it. Stand behind a sturdy chair or at a kitchen counter. Feet about hip-width apart. Rest your hands lightly for balance. Rise slowly onto the balls of your feet. Lift your heels as high as is comfortable. Then hold that top position for 3 to 5 seconds. Keep breathing. Keep your eyes forward. Then lower yourself down slowly over about 3 seconds. That is 1 repetition. Start with 8 to 10 repetitions. As you get stronger, work toward 15 or 20. Do not rush. Do not bounce. Do not cut the hold short. The hold is the whole point. That sustained squeeze is what helps drive the blood upward, unload the lower leg, and strengthen the very muscle that many people have allowed to become sleepy over the years. And because there is no jumping, no pounding, and no complicated choreography, it is practical for many older adults, even those who are not especially athletic. If you made me choose just one exercise for someone over 60 who complains of cold feet, ankle swelling, heavy calves, or that dull, stagnant feeling in the legs, this would be the one I would start teaching immediately. Now let me tell you what happened with Helen. I had her stop judging herself by step count alone. Instead, I had her do a short daily sequence: ankle pumps while seated first thing in the morning, seated leg extensions later in the day, supported calf raises at the kitchen counter, single leg stance holds with a hand nearby for safety, and then the standing calf pump holds at the end. It took her about 10 to 12 minutes total. Not an hour, not a gym membership, not a machine, not some punishing routine she would never stick to. Just a short, focused plan. And I want to be honest with you, because honesty matters more than hype. Her legs did not suddenly become the legs of a 25-year-old. That is not how real medicine works, and I would never promise that to you. But within a few weeks, her ankles were noticeably less swollen by evening. Her feet were warmer at night. And the biggest change, the one she cared about most, was that she felt steadier when she stood up. Less hesitation, less fear, less of that moment where you wonder whether your body is really going to cooperate. That mattered to her more than anything. Because what many people over 60 are truly afraid of is not just discomfort, it is decline. It is losing confidence in their own body. It is feeling the edges of their independence start to fray. And sometimes the answer is not more effort. Sometimes it is better targeting. Before I finish, let me give you one important caution. If you ever develop sudden severe pain in one leg, or one foot suddenly becomes pale, cold, numb, or weak, or you have a sore on the foot or ankle that is not healing, Do not sit at home and try to exercise your way through that. Those are warning signs that deserve medical attention quickly. The exercises I am talking about here are for the slow or ankle that is not healing. Do not sit at home and try to exercise your way through that. Those are warning signs that deserve medical attention quickly. The exercises I am talking about here are for the slow, everyday kind of poor circulation and lower leg pooling people commonly notice over time. They are not for a sudden emergency. So let's bring this all together. Number 5, ankle pumps. A simple way to wake the calf pump up while sitting and reduce stagnant pooling. Number 4, seated leg extensions. A controlled way to activate the thighs and support the strength that protects walking and independence. Number 3, supported calf raises. A direct pump exercise that also helps with steadiness. Number 2, single leg stance holds. A longer muscle activation drill that challenges balance and keeps the lower leg switched on. And number 1, the standing calf pump hold. The most targeted, most deliberate, and in my view, most effective exercise in this entire sequence for naturally boosting leg circulation after 60. Keep walking, yes, but understand this clearly. Walking alone leaves gaps. It does not always challenge the calf pump enough. It does not always build the precise control you need. And it does not automatically solve the sluggish pooling problem many older adults are actually dealing with. These 5 movements fill that gap. They take only a few minutes a day. They can be done at home. They require little or no equipment. And most importantly, they teach your legs to help themselves again. That is the real goal. Better circulation is not just about comfort. It is about tissue health. It is about confidence. It is about feeling steady enough to keep living your life fully. It is about making it easier for your body to do the job it was designed to do. You do get a say in that. Aging changes the body, yes. But some of those changes respond beautifully to consistent, targeted effort. This is one of them. If you start anywhere, start with the standing calf pump hold. Do it carefully, do it consistently, and if it feels appropriate for you, build the full 5 movement sequence around it. Because your legs have carried you through decades of life already, and with a few honest minutes a day, they may carry you much farther, much more comfortably than you think. I'm Dr. Michael, and if this helped you understand why your circulation may not be improving the way you expected, then hold on to this. The answer is not always more movement. Sometimes it is the right movement. Take care of your legs, protect your balance, keep that calf pump alive, and stay safe, stay steady, and stay